Hello, YouTube. Today we're going to continue with our chapter review series on Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm Landon Valeric, and we're going to continue with chapter 1. So, before our intro chapter interlude, we discussed 6 points of summary for chapter 1, as well as one powerful or important idea. What was that important idea? Getting into it. Idea number 1 was that time magnifies the margin between success and failure, and it magnifies and multiplies whatever you feed it. So, good habits will make time your ally. Bad habits will make time your enemy. I chose to apply this principle to relationships, and I said that if you feed your relationship with intentional attention and positive energy, that it will positively affect your relationship over time. And I challenged any of the viewers who watched that video to apply that in their lives. So tell me in the comments, did you watch that video? Did you try and apply that in your life? And have you noticed any differences yet? Do keep in mind that this is a long-term investment in a relationship. It's not something that you can begin to apply and then stop as soon as you start to see any results or don't see any results, right? I also applied and challenged myself to apply that principle in the relationship that I have with my wife. And I've done my best. I have caught myself slipping a couple of times and tried to correct. However, that has been more difficult as of late. As you can see, I am not at home. Let's get into this for a second. It is currently 4:05 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, October 17th. That means technically this video is late. But why am I not at home? Why am I out here right now? What I'm doing is 12-hour overnight shifts on a conveyor job that I've been building for the last several months. What I'm doing is electrical support. So I basically stand by for any electrical issues that may arise, and then I do my best to get the line running as quickly as possible, addressing any electrical concerns along the way. But you can see how that might make my home life a little more difficult. It drastically reduces the time that I actually get to spend with my family. And so I get to spend very little time with my wife and even less with my son. That is not an excuse, though. I still try to apply intentional attention and positive energy to the relationship that I have with my wife in the short amount of time that I see her. And I will continue to do that and see what kind of effects that has on the relationship moving forward. Now, that's going to bring us to our second important or powerful idea of chapter 1. This is one I pulled right out of the summary. It goes as follows. Forget about your goals and focus on your systems instead. Let's think about this for a second. A goal does not separate a winner from a loser. They both have that goal. But only the one who can apply themselves to a system or process that could allow them to attain that goal would have a shot at attaining that goal. So a system is the process that would allow you to reach your goals. I have kind of one area that I've actually already applied this to my own life, and I will tell you what that is right now. When I'm working a regular shift, I like to get up early, real early, like 4 a.m. early. And why would I do that? Well, I do that so that I can have the alone time that I need to work on myself. That is time that I don't get in the evenings because I come home relatively late and then it's family time. I put my son to bed. I go to bed myself. So my mornings are kind of like my sanctuary. They are the time when I work out. They're the time when I stretch. They're the time when I read. They're the time when I have my morning coffee. That sort of thing, you know? But that doesn't necessarily mean that I enjoy waking up at 4 a.m., though. In fact, I struggle with it every day. So, a system that I have in place in my life to help me with that is that my morning alarm requires me to scan a particular barcode for it to turn off. This cannot be skipped. And that barcode is downstairs in my kitchen, stuck to the inside of my pantry door. So every morning when I want to turn my alarm off, I have to bring my phone down the hall, down the stairs, turn on the lights so I can see, open the pantry, and scan the barcode. This is pretty effective at waking me up. But it's just one example of how it could be applied to any goal in your life with some effort. Digging back into the book, though, James Clear has a point about achieving a goal and how achieving a goal only changes your life momentarily. He gives the example of, say, cleaning your room. You may clean your room, it was a big mess, and you may feel good about it in the moment. But if you don't have a system in place to keep that room clean, you'll just find it messy again later, in like a week or so. So a system is supposed to fix the input so that it can fix the output. If you had a system in place to clean your room every day, anytime you find something on the ground, you pick it up and you put your dirty sock in a laundry basket. That's going to keep the floor of your room clean. Anytime you see garbage on your nightstand and you throw it in the garbage, it's going to keep your nightstand clean. So a system would be little things like picking up after yourself daily, as opposed to letting your room turn into a mess. Another part of this, sorry, one sec, focusing on your goals and not your systems business, is that goals can restrict your happiness. So I hear this time and time again from other YouTubers, podcasters, influencers that I listen to, people like Alex Hormozy or Tom Bilyeu. They're pretty popular in the YouTube sphere if you're in like the business entrepreneurship space. Um, and they have a lot of good things to say, good lessons to teach. This is kind of one of them. The general sentiment is that you have to fall in love with the process or system, not the outcome or goal, right? So if you focus and fall in love with the goal, two things can happen. One, your happiness will then be tied to achieving that goal. And that makes you less happy or unhappy or unfulfilled in the lead up to that goal. Doing the process doesn't bring you any happiness or fulfillment. You'll only feel that when you get to your goal. And second, when you do achieve your goal, that happiness only lasts for a moment, as we discussed just a couple minutes ago. Your happiness is only going to last until you realize that you're not fulfilled. It hasn't changed you. It hasn't changed your life. And you found a new goal to get to. So focus on the systems, not the goals. Liken this to something like training for a marathon. If the goal is to run one marathon and you train and train and train, and then you run that marathon and stop because you've reached your goal, you've had your happiness momentarily, you're going to realize a couple of weeks later that that momentary happiness doesn't mean anything. It hasn't changed your life in any significant way. And then you're going to be looking around to find another goal, another way to feel that sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. If you, on the other hand, put a system into place, like a daily training regimen that just kept you in marathon running shape, then you could sign up, run any marathon that you see fit anytime, No big deal, right? And then it just becomes a part of your routine, becomes a part of your lifestyle. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I believe that was point number 6 in the summary. So, do I have a challenge for you today? I sure do. I will challenge you to take a goal that you have that you haven't made enough progress on and build a system around it that would drive you to achieve that goal. But it would have to do that even if you didn't have that goal. Because remember, you're trying to fall in love with the process, not the goal. Ultimately, you're trying to forget that the goal even exists. So, with that said, that's all for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you all next week for chapter 2. And let me know in the comments what you think of these videos, what you think of goals and systems. I'll be interested to hear from you. Thanks again.